Hello, good morning, and welcome to Up Next with the Giant Company Merchandising Team presented by the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council. I'm Tracina Cash, Vice President, Corporate Relations and Strategic Partnerships for EMSDC. Today, we will talk about doing business with the Giant Company, particularly related to retail. I want to thank so much Aisha Noor, Head of DEI for the Giant Company, Chris Shipe, Category Manager, and Kate Weaver, Peapod Supplier Diversity Manager, as well as the entire merchandising team. Again, we look forward to this wonderful program today, and I'd like to turn it over to Chris.
Thanks, Tracina. Let me share my screen here real quick. I will hop right in here into presentation mode. Okay. So would just like to echo commentary at the beginning here and say thank you for your time this afternoon. We're really looking forward to this time with you and really presenting the Giant Company, ourselves, as well as some of our areas of responsibility. So without further ado here, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. So with us here with the Giant Company today, we have 4 panelists here, all of us category managers across the business. So Katie Cunningham representing beverage, Karen Brassel on dairy, Henry Weber with household, and then myself, Chris, with healthy, natural, and organic. We also have a special guest speaker from Peapod Digital Labs that will be joining us partway through this as well. So just to kind of start off a little bit with who is the Giant Company and what is it that we do. We are, of course, the retail within the retail environment. We are the Giant Company. We are part of the greater Ahold Delhaize USA. So thinking about the bigger, broader picture there, we are one of 5 great local brands, including Giant Foods, which is based out of Landover, Maryland. And we are also aligned with Stop & Shop up north of us, as well as Hanover, who is also north of us, and Food Lion, who is further south. So really, as us as the Giant Company, we started out as a small meat market, the Carlisle Meat Market, started by David Javich in 1923, and then really 13 years after that, in 1936, he opened up a store in Lewistown, PA, called Giant Shopping Food Center. And so really the rest of that is history, right? As we look at where we are right now in 2021, we own roughly 129 retail locations in multiple different states spanning across Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia. You can kind of see from the map here the way that we're split up from an operational standpoint. And so by and large, we operate between an East and a West division, as well as roughly 13 smaller regions within our trade area here. So, you know, while there are some nuances there, by and large, they are all managed out of the Carlisle office here. So to go one click down from there and really start to look at the specific brands that we have, the one that you're probably most familiar with is Giant Martin's. So that is really our traditional, conventional grocer format within our brick and mortar locations. One thing that I think is notable across our brand here with Giant Martin's is that we come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, and part of that really being driven by over the years as we have acquired other regional locations, built up new flagship locations, and really tried to push the limits of the retail environment. That's caused a lot of different shapes, sizes, and different formats of our traditional brick and mortar stores. In addition to that, we also have what's called our heirloom market. So those of you that are east of Carlisle towards the Philly market might be more familiar with this brand. Launched roughly about 2 or so years ago specifically within inner city Philly. That is really our urban format. And as part of that and having a smaller footprint within that, we really look at, I'd say, more of an eclectic assortment in those stores that is catering more to whether it's upscale, trendy, natural, healthy, kind of all of the above there, while still trying to offer the best assortment possible for our customers. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is our Giant and Martin's Direct platform. This is really our foray into e-com. Most of the business that we do here is primarily in click and collect as well as delivery. So this is certainly a brand for us that has got a lot of excitement behind it right now, and we're really excited to see where this one goes. So, one last closing thought here too is that the teams that you'll hear from, at least on the Giant company side, we really manage the merchandising and the business across all 3 of these brands within our family here. So there's not, there's not a dedicated heirloom buyer or a dedicated direct buyer. We're doing everything under one roof. So the next couple of slides that we'll go through here, and really for the rest of the presentation, will be mostly catered to how to approach us to go to business, what are the things that we're looking for, kind of all the above there. So we'll start out kind of big and broad here with distribution methods, and really how do you figure out which one is the best for your brand, or what business you can bring to our stores. So I'll start out here with direct, which is DSD for short. This is probably the method that you have the most control over, as it's generally yourself or one of your representatives or associates that comes into our stores during our normal receiving hours, delivers the goods. They get received through the back door, and then it is up to you or your representative to work those items to the shelf. So, as part of that too, there are of course pros, cons to all of the above here. One of which being that sometimes these can present their own logistical and cost-related challenges. Next up is warehouse. So one little nuance here is that we are currently working through CNS as really our wholesaler. However, we are looking forward here, looking to do self-distribution. So by and large, I believe most of the dairy business, as well as really all of our chilled perishable side, is currently on that model. With shelf-stable grocery being set for, I'm going to say, roughly Q2, Q3 of next year, and then our frozen business will follow behind in Q3, Q4. So, as of right now, CNS is our wholesaler on record. So, as you can see here, some of the pros and cons is that you have there's less overhead for you because you're really delivering to one facility, or roughly 1 or 2 facilities, so there's less expenditure there. However, you don't necessarily get the person that's in these stores that is able to build those relationships with some of the store teams and things like that. And sometimes they can also incur some larger logistical fees that go along with doing business with a wholesaler. And then really the last one here, which is third-party distribution. So some examples of folks that we currently do business are A&L, UNFI. We also have distributors primarily on the beverage and snacking side that are third-party as well. So these are the folks that, they also come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, and there's a lot of different types of business out there that could fit the specific need that you're looking for. Generally speaking, they tend to be a little bit less expensive than DSD, but again, it's kind of similar to the warehouse proposition where somebody else is distributing your goods for you. So there are a lot of different ways to look at this and things that may or may not work for your business. And, as you go on here, you'll really be working with a category team or teams to figure out which is going to be the best way for for you to get products into our stores. All right, so without further ado here, we're going to jump into our functional areas. And first off, I'm going to kick it over to Karen.
Good afternoon. I am Karen Brassel. I am the Dairy Category Manager at the Giant Company. Just want to define what edible grocery, dairy, and frozen is. Edible grocery is comprised of main meal items, condiments, canned goods, canned vegetables. Breakfast and baking is your cereals, your baking items, your baking staples. All of these categories are shelf stable. At the Giant Company, frozen does not include frozen meat and frozen seafood. That's handled by the fresh departments. And dairy includes everything you would find in the typical dairy aisle. There is some crossover in certain areas with deli. For example, cheese can be carried in both, and is carried in both deli and in dairy. Produce, there's some crossover with functional beverages and some plant-based items, and also then with natural and organic. Depending on the item price points and the characteristics and the target customers, items may be better suited to those other departments, and the category managers will direct you to the right area for your projects. And now I will kick it off to Henry. Oh, I did that wrong, didn't I?
Hi, everyone. I'll just talk about non-foods really quickly. In that area, there are 4 different teams that manage the business. So the first one is health and beauty care, which we refer to sometimes as HBC. And it's really made up of things like vitamins and cough and cold supplies, like, hand soap, body soap, lotions, those type of areas that you can use on your body or are really just made to be health and beauty care. The next area is pet and baby. So when you think about pet, it's all pet food that a pet would use or eat, and then plus all the accessories that come along with pet. So that's dog toys, cat toys, rawhide, any small animal type items, those kind of things. And then baby is managed in the same department as pet, but that's all the baby food that we sell: diapers, wipes, baby accessories like bottles and those type of things. One of the bigger categories on the desk of non-foods is the GM department, which includes candy at the same time. So there's a GM desk that's called Everyday, and that's items like pens, pencils, kitchen gadgets, pots and pans, batteries, those type of items that are called general merchandise. And then there's a seasonal area. And when we think about the seasonal area, it really is determined by the season. So Valentine's Day transitions into spring, which transitions into summer, which we call the next season then is probably harvest or a fall type thought process. And then there's Christmas, and then there's candy. Candy on the desk is also everyday candy that you see in line in the stores, but then there's also a seasonal aspect to candy as well, with like, we just finished up Halloween. So all the Halloween themed candy or Christmas candy falls into that area. And then finally, household is really all the paper products. So bath tissue, paper towels, paper plates, those type of items, along with anything that you use to clean in your house. Cleaners, laundry detergent, mops and brooms, those type of items. So with that quick recap, I'll turn it over to Katie.
Hey, everyone. So for the DSD part of Center Store, what we manage, or the categories that we manage, are snacks and cookies and crackers. When we talk about commercial bread or commercial cake, those are, you think of brands like Thomas or Pepperidge Farms, and commercial cake would be things like Tasty Cakes. And they do not include any of the fresh baked goods. That's managed by the fresh team within the store. For beverages, what falls under the DSD side would be anything that's shelf stable. So there are some crossover with categories and what Karen manages on the dairy side with refrigerated juices. We would have the shelf stable products. What also falls in beverage would be bottled water, carbonated soft drinks, and things like that. We also have beer and wine, which is kind of like a store within the store there, which Chris will talk to when he talks to Natural, but our beer and wine section we have in a large majority of the stores. And then we also have a category manager that manages all of our ethnic and kosher categories. Chris, I'll kick it to you then.
All right, so natural, specialty, ethnic, kosher. Really, these areas of our business are managed in a couple different ways, and largely based off of trying to fill some of our customer needs here. So, natural specifically is we go after a store within a store proposition there. So, those of you that have set foot in our stores and have seen the big Nature's Promise signage with the green shelf blades and wayfinders. That's the natural department. By this point, almost all of our stores do have that store within a store concept for natural. Our specialty business is really in line with a lot of our mainline grocery and next to our conventional goods. So, I think probably the easiest and best way to think about it is our condiments set, where we have the French's mustard and the Grey Poupon and things like that, but we also have a lot of those higher end products right in there, as well as customers are looking to kind of explore and expand their palettes and looking for something a little bit unique there. That's really the role that specialty fills. And then ethnic, this is really more store specific based on the outlying demographics within specific stores. So there is certainly a good bit of variability across our trade area here. So as your new vendors that are looking to onboard and really work into our stores and build your business up, generally speaking, not always, but generally, natural, specialty, ethnic, kosher, those are the areas that you would generally start in. And at that point, you would build your business until it becomes something with enough critical mass to move into a mainline set, as our crew here previously talked through. So up next, I'm going to kick it over to Kate Weaver, who is our special guest speaker from Peapod Digital Labs, to talk through supplier diversity.
Hi, Chris, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, so supplier diversity, I obviously don't have to explain it to the group of what it is, but we are the division of the company that actively tries to advocate, promote, and act as a broker, if you will, an internal broker for potential diverse-owned suppliers as they are trying to navigate their way through our very complex organization. Our supplier diversity program, while it sits in Peapod Digital Labs, it is the supplier diversity program that services Food Lion, Giant Food, Giant Company, Hannaford, Stop and Shop, Retail Business Services, and the ADUSA Supply Chain Organization. So we can go to the next slide. I know I'm saying something that's very obvious, but step one for any potential diverse-owned supplier that wants to get into our company, we ask them to be certified. You've got the experts here on the call with the EMSDC, Tracina and Valerie and everyone. How many times do I reach out to you every week to find out where someone is in the application process, or is their certificate current, or do they have a certain supplier that does XYZ? I mean, we are really in lockstep with the NMSDC organization, and it's a long history that Ahold Delhaize has with NMSDC in that supporting. And we actually support a lot of the NMSDC regional affiliates all over our 23 state territory, but much love to EMSDC. Okay, step two is that we ask all potential diverse-owned suppliers to register through Supplier Gateway. And I've got the address on there, and I know I can almost hear you groaning as I say that, because you go, oh no, it's another portal. I have to enter my information and it's a black hole. I promise you it's not. I really am checking Supplier Gateway at least 3 times a week, if not more, when I'm doing sourcing for RFPs and category reviews. So it's free to register, and it's really just bare bones how any diverse-owned supplier, professional services or retail, should go and enter their information. We will ask you in that platform to upload your certification, and I will default back to step number 1. Certification is key. We really need to see your diversity certification in even order to pursue to get even further. But specifically for those of you who have retail items, grocery, bakery, fresh, anything like that, then yes, we want to see you on Range Me. Range Me does have various levels. That there is a level where you can pay money for an extra like highlighted profile. I would say don't worry about that. Just do the bare bones profile. This is a way that I can easily send a link out to all of our category merchants and say, hey, look at this profile on Range Me. There's pictures of their product. There's a list of the retailers that they're currently in. And if you don't remember anything from this session, please remember that I am saying that on Range Me, you can upload your, you can put a denotation if you are NMSDC, WeBank, NGLCC certified, and so many people forget to do that. And that's really what we have a lot of our category merchants looking for when they specifically go to Range Me. So I'd really encourage you to do that and go in and update your profile as much as possible on the Range Me link when you get new retailers, even if you're just on Amazon, even if you're just doing e-commerce yourself, even if you're just in farmers markets, update your list so our category merchants can see all your various points of distribution. Okay, so now I don't really have a slide for the next thing I'm going to tell you, but I'm just going to give you some little pearls and nuggets. Deep Thoughts by Kate. What I would say is that the number one question that I get, and I'm sure Chris and all of our category merchants get, is they go, but do I really have to be certified? I mean, it's just so much paperwork, it's so much time, it's so much effort. I just want to get on the shelf. I just have this one product, or I just have, I just want to try some pilot stores. Do I have to go through all that? Hopefully, if you're sitting on this call, you're already a certified NMSDC member. I hope you are. But if you aren't, I'll just put it in these very easy terms. Let's look at it just like you would an emergency room. An emergency room, the people who work the front desk of the emergency room have people coming in right and left, right? People with sinus infections and people with major life-threatening illnesses, right? I don't want to say that this is a do or die situation, but I will say that the emergency room workers who work at the front desk have to triage. And when I say triage, they have to put preferences on the patients who are in most need. As a supplier diversity practitioner, I will tell you that we get pummeled with emails daily. I think already I'm up to 200 emails this week alone from IT staffing and IT services from diverse-owned companies. It's just the way life is, and I love it. I love the diverse-owned suppliers that email us all the time and say, "Hey, we're looking to do business with you." We triage though, and we give preference to those who are certified diverse-owned suppliers for lots of reasons. I won't spend time telling you why, because I think you already know it's the gold standard. That's what we look for. But there's a lot of little perks that come with being certified. And I'm just going to speak, I'm sure the EMSDC can give you a whole list of perks and benefits. But from our perspective is when we have certified diverse-owned suppliers that we have introduced to the Giant Martin's company, and they have made their way onto the shelf, be it even in a pilot, a few stores, or they're in all Giant Martin stores. We look for those certified diverse-owned suppliers to feature them in Savory Magazine. We look for those certified diverse-owned suppliers to call out on the Giant Martin social media channels. We look for those certified diverse-owned suppliers to sponsor to send to Tuck, or to be a part of the PDL accelerator for diverse-owned suppliers. I mean, I could go on and tell you that membership has its privileges. Legally, I'm not even allowed to look at non-certified diverse-owned suppliers for any of those opportunities. So yes, I get really excited when I see a great match between a certified diverse-owned supplier and someone like Chris. When I see that match made in heaven, it's so exciting for me, because I know that it opens a whole host of doors of how we can promote you internally and externally, and get you more business. So I can see the chats popping with a lot of questions, and I hope I have been able to answer them. I think some people are also asking about importers and distributors. That's up to the category merchant, what they're actually looking for, if they're trying to stick with made in the USA or looking for imports. I would say if the firm is certified through the EMSDC as a distributor, importer, whatever, that's fine for us. We just need to see that certification. I know that when we look in the NMSDC database, which by the way, Trisina, I look into the NMSDC database probably more than I do my own checking account. But when when we look in there, we see a whole host of products and services. And I'm sure I'm also stating the obvious, but please, your descriptions that you describe your company in the NMSDC database is so very important. Please describe it. Don't just say manufacturer. Say manufacturer of what? Tortillas, spices, ideas, marketing. Say what you're a manufacturer of. But anyway, I'm getting on to my soapbox. So we do have a supplier diversity email. Let me see if I'll put it in the chat for everyone. And it's just supplier diversity at Peapod Digital Labs. And we would ask you to please just engage with us and go onto that supplier diversity portal, that supplier gateway, register as your first step. And let's see if we can get certified diverse owned suppliers into the category review process for Giant Martin's, and see if we can bring some great new innovative products to the customers in the region. Okay, that's it.
Great, thank you, Kate. Really appreciate the overview of supplier diversity here. So up next, we're going to get into really some of the commonly asked questions and things like that will really be able to help us give you some information on how you can engage us as a brand. So the first question that I have here is for Katie. That question is, what is the common process for submitting a brand for?
Sure, yeah. So typically what the expectation is that we have for each supplier is that they are working directly with the category team, and that would encompass whether it's the category manager or the category analyst. And there's specific detail that we would like to know from you. And as Kate mentioned, a lot of these are requirements that Range Me has on their website of things that we would need to know, such as cost, what your recommended retail price point is, if you have promotional support that you're willing to put behind the brand, what current competitive distribution that you have, and how you're looking or planning to distribute within the Giant company, and also what your current performance looks like within the competitive landscape and market that you're in. I would call out that it is beneficial for a newer supplier to work with a broker partnership, as several of the brokers within this area are very familiar with the Giant company and how we go to business. They're familiar with our systems and all the paperwork that we require. So I would recommend that is a route that you go down if you're interested in doing business with us.
Great, thanks, Katie. All right, question number 2 here is for Henry. And what should I bring to a new item presentation?
Sure. So these are my thoughts. So in a new item presentation, you should really talk about category trends of the items that you're presenting inside that category, and then any retailer trends that you might be able to share some insight on, specific to the Giant company or in competition. And then part of that presentation should have shelving or assortment recommendations, a best in class for placement, any assortment opportunities that you might see, any planogram recommendations for placement. And then also any company initiatives on the new items that you're talking about, or if there's existing products in the section today, what are those initiatives and how we can grow that business. And then there is also some new item information. Katie talked on it a little bit, but really we should have item dimensions, case packs, the cost, any suggested retails and the margin that comes along with that, some projections around how the item might perform, and then any marketing support, which we'll talk about marketing in a second. But is there an ad plan? Is there a TPR plan? And any similar items in the section. We took a presentation just yesterday from a new paper supplier called White Cloud, and I don't know much about it. So really that White Cloud paper towel is really compares to Bounty, which I didn't realize that. So a similar item in the section and how it might sell or might compare to, or any unique items to the category that you're talking about. So that's a real quick hit on what you should bring to a new item presentation.
Great, thank you. All right, next question is for Karen. And what are the expectations for marketing and promotions?
Sure. We expect all suppliers to support their items with regular promotions and marketing. The promotions could range from TPRs or temporary price reductions. These would be penny for penny. And what that means is if a supplier gives us a 10-cent per unit deal, we would reflect that deal to our customers on a penny for penny basis. Ads, of course, are important, either straight price points or multiples at acceptable margins, which your category manager would review with you. Participation in our choice rewards programs where customers can get points towards dollars off or towards gas. And then marketing opportunities include, briefly, digital amplification programs, shelf impact programs, or participation in overlays. And I really did mean briefly when I said that. We have a whole marketing playbook. It's, I don't know, upwards of 50 pages that we can review with you. I think most important about this is that we want this process to be collaborative. You are the experts of your items. You very well could be doing business in our market already. If there are things that are working well for you and are meeting your ROI, we are open to new ideas and open to recommendations. All of these ads and marketing vehicles can be discussed in planning meetings with your category manager or your category analyst, and we can work with you to finalize a promotional plan.
Okay, thanks, Karen. So the next question is for Chris. What are the expectations for new item introductions? An example would be slotting.
Yeah, so I'm sure this is everybody's favorite topic. As we look at launching new brands with us, we always do really look at what is a total launch program going to look like. So as an example, for myself, and I manage the natural organic business, generally speaking, I always start out my ask with 3 cases of free fill per store. And that is really largely being driven from, the amount of competition that we're seeing out there for new brands and items, as well as what we're seeing competitively as well. So again, and that number, that 3 cases is something that I'll say is negotiable in the sense that, again, we look at the whole launch program, right? So as some of the things that Karen has already mentioned around the marketing piece there, if there are incremental programs that you get into, and maybe that takes some of the place of the slotting, or even just to help protect some of your shelf space, maybe offer 4 cases, maybe offer more than the 3 ask. But that is really the standard as in terms of where we set there. But again, it all comes down to what you're going to launch with, and then how you're going to support your brand as time goes on. All right, my next question here is for Kate Weaver, and that question is, what are specific programs offered by GC for diverse suppliers?
Great. Hi. Well, I think I referenced a couple of them, specific programs, and I was just typing an answer to someone, and I really do think this is probably the largest service that Supplier Diversity offers. The Supplier Diversity program offers to all the brands of ADUSA, is that we act as that internal broker, right? So we see the category review schedule that is often like changing and tweaking and being moved and flexed with different category managers and analysts that are touching it. And we look at the NMSDC database, as well as our other supplier diversity advocacy databases, as well as RangeMe. And we put together pitch decks and we send them out to the category merchants. And we try it. It's our hardest and most difficult task is to get those pitch decks to our category merchants prior to their review. Then it's up to the category merchants to look at those brands that we have pitched and say, oh, okay, yeah, I'll reach out to them to see if I can get some samples or see if I can get some pricing. So that's the biggest, and that's not exactly what you asked, Chris. He said, what programs we have, but that really is the benefit of being a certified diverse owned supplier is we can get you actively in to those category review sessions. And that way it makes it a lot easier for the diverse owned suppliers who are trying to navigate who should they go to at Giant Martin's. And it makes it much easier for our category merchants too, where they can just come to Supplier Diversity and say, hey, Kate, do you have anyone that does XYZ? And I say, well, as a matter of fact, yes, we do. Let me send you a little ditty about them. But programs is, like I mentioned, we have our Savory Magazine features that we're always looking for certified diverse owned suppliers. I don't know if I'm selling that enough. I mean, that's free press. That's well, we would be charging PepsiCo and Nestle and stuff to advertise in Savory. So there's no such thing. There's no such thing as bad press, and there's nothing better than free press, right? So I would say that that's a really big program. Tuck is another program where we sponsor NMSDC certified, specifically NMSDC certified MBEs to attend the Tuck program on our behalf. That's an executive education program. We have our PDL Accelerator for diverse owned suppliers. We just sent 11 certified diverse owned suppliers through it, and it's concluding today, this afternoon. We're having our big graduation ceremony. And there's just lots of little extras like that if you are a certified diverse owned supplier, formally enrolled through our Supplier Diversity program, you will be on our radar. I hope that answers that question.
I think it does. Thanks, Kate. Appreciate it. And then finally, our last question here is for Katie. And what are the best marketing vehicles to spread brand awareness?
Yeah, so as Karen mentioned, we do have a marketing playbook that outlines specifically what programs we do have available to all suppliers. There's a specific section in there for what you can do for a new item launch. And some of those include a program that we have that's called 5-Point Freebies. So every Friday, our customers have the opportunity to exchange 5 of their loyalty points that they earn on their grocery purchases for a free product. They're promoted via email, social media posts, and they're featured in our ads. So that's like top of the list of ones that are really good at spreading the awareness that a new brand is in stores. We do have new item bundles, and within those include shelf impact ads. So if you're not familiar with what that is, if you see it in our stores, there's like blades that are at the aisles that call out specifically, here's a new item that we have in the store. You'd also get an ad feature, some key web messaging on the categories homepage within our website. And as Kate mentioned, Savory Magazine, they have new finds and new finds pages within the magazine, and those would be ones that we would encourage as well. And we do have in-store sampling that is a big one we're looking to start back up again.
All right, great, thank you. So really the last portion of this is, we're looking for questions from you guys out there in the audience. So I think we might have a couple out there. Would Tracina, would you be able to have somebody share those with us?
Brittany is actually on the call right now, and I collected the questions that were in the chat as well as in Q&A. I'll start in the order that they came in. And Barsh asks, for the direct store delivery, one of the pros are more control over how it is merchandise. Does this mean that there is a platform the vendor can log in to see which stores are running low in stock?
So I'll start kind of by addressing the first part there around the merchandising, and I should have probably gone a little bit more in depth in this, but with what I was thinking there is, we have several brands of smaller local chips in my natural chipset, and that really gives the vendor the opportunity to the front face, fluff bags, all of the above there. So it really gives you the control to give your items the best presentation possible. As it relates to the question around inventory management right now, unfortunately, we don't have those capabilities. We are certainly looking into some IT platforms that might be able to give us better insights into that. However, or how you would go about handling that right now is really through just getting to know the stores, getting to know the movement, as well as teaming up with some of our store management teams to really understand that piece. We'll also say that we have an app called GlobalWorks, which would be able to help you navigate some of the things as it relates to out of stocks and things like that.
All right, thank you. The next question is from Manuel. The question is, do you import from overseas as well, or do you prefer to buy within the US?
So we do have some programs as it relates to imports. Right now with the current climate that we're in from a supply chain perspective, it does make it challenging. A lot of the product that we currently import is well, of course, from overseas. So primarily in Asia. By and large, though, it is much easier for us to do business with product that is currently located in the U.S. and whether that's freight from somewhere within the Intercontinental.
Thank you. Rhonda asks, do you have to be a member of Range Me?
I guess I can take that for merchandising, for retail ready products. We highly suggest that you start a very free bare bones profile on Range Me. There's lots of different options, and they definitely have one where you can pay a lot of money to be highlighted and with nice pretty colors around it or whatever. Just do the very free simple registration so you can upload pictures of your products, so you can upload your distribution method, and you can put off to the side all the retailers that you're in, even if it's mom and pop, even if it's farmers markets or just online sales. You can list that. And that'll make it really easy. Think of it like Match.com. It's very easy for me to take a screenshot of this Match.com profile and send it over to my girlfriend and say, ooh, you should date this person. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking a link of your Range Me profile, and I'm sending it off to Chris and saying, hey, Chris, look at this potential diverse owned supplier. They've got a product that I think would be great at Giant Martin's.
Thank you. Alex asks, where can we find a list of category managers in order to send the information?
So that's a great question, and one that I'll actually address at the end here. I would say any current inquiries can go through me, as as I kind of mentioned before. My area of business is natural and organic, so as part of it too, I could probably also tack on emerging trends, emerging vendors, things like that. So you can start with me, and if you're not a good fit for my department, I'll make sure that you get in contact with the right people.
I would just say that's really where the Supplier Diversity Program can assist. I mean, we actively pitch and refer certified diverse owned suppliers to the category merchants on their weekly category review process. So it would just be so easy if you have a product that's right in Chris's category, please email him. But the Supplier Diversity at Peapod Digital Labs email address is out there. Register on our Supplier Gateway profile, register on Range Me, and then we will have a way to find you and promote you. So we hopefully make it easier so you're not having to hunt and peck for the right person. We act as an internal broker, and someone just chatted me and asked me if there was a charge for my services. Well, no, perhaps I should go into that business, but no, my services are gratis for certified diverse owned suppliers.
Thank you. we have here, Rhonda, I noticed you asked about WeBank certification. If you contact EMSDC staff, we can actually connect you with that someone with WeBank. So just be make sure to do that. The next question is, what programs do you currently have for employee retention?
So a lot of our employee retention, and maybe I should probably start with as the crew here. We were primarily the business managers from a categorical standpoint. So I'll be the first one to tell you that this isn't necessarily our wheelhouse, but what we can speak to from an employee retention standpoint is really the culture that we bring to the table, as well as numerous employee benefits as well, and I certainly won't speak to them because I can't do them enough justice, but we have quite a list of the benefits around tuition reimbursements and benefits for part-time, full-time employees, things like that. So it is certainly something that our human resources department is actively and constantly working on.
Okay, thank you. Someone asked about payment terms, and if you could talk more about that.
Sure. So payment terms are generally negotiated by a by vendor basis. So those will be the conversations that you have with your category managers as you're getting set up as new vendors. I don't want to speak for anybody else on the call here, but certainly some of the things that I look for are any sort of discounts or anything like that, and generally that is tied back to a net 10 days, something along those lines. So again, those would be the right conversations to have as you're bringing your new introductory branch to the table.
Thank you. And I have a question from Glenn saying, how long would it take to get dry products in location stores like seasonings?
A length of time is largely sometimes dependent on really a couple different factors. So if you're looking for like a chain-wide distribution, you're better off, or you're best off going through a category review. So those generally happen once to twice a year. It's when we look at the complete sets. So for example, the spices set there, the team would sit down and review that category all at once and meet with vendors at that time and decide who, what, when, where, and all of those things. I would say one of the kind of a sub bullet there too is if you're looking for a very hyper local specific opportunity, those conversations can happen as somewhat of one-offs. A lot of that is just kind of dependent on the flow of the business. So as we think right now, as we're going into the holidays and some of the biggest times of the year for retail, our focus right now is on supply chain and making sure that we have all of the needs for our customers covered off. But those conversations as it relates to small hyper local opportunities can really happen at any time. And again, a lot of that is really dependent on the specific category manager and team that you're working with.
And Chris, the only thing that I would add to that is if you are a brand new vendor and you're not working with someone like a UNFI, there's timing involved with setting you up as a vendor in all of our systems, as well as setting up your items. So that would impact how long it will take to get product to shelf.
That's a great point. Thank you.
I think some of the questions in the Q&A have been answered already by Katie or Kate Weaver, excuse me. So if the audience goes to Q&A, the questions and answers will be there. We will say that this program is being recorded as well, so it will be sent out to all participants. I believe we have answered all, or if not the majority of questions that have been asked. But if there are any last minute questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A.
Great. So, in terms of some of my closing thoughts here, would again just like to say thank you for everybody's time this afternoon and taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us. My email address is here, christopher.shipe@giantmartins.com. So if you'd like to continue your conversation, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Christina, I think if you're speaking, we can't actually hear you.
I didn't start talking yet. So I want to thank Katie, Henry, Karen, Chris, and Kate for all the information that you gave us today. We appreciate our partnership with the Giant Company and with Peapod. Thank you for this engaging conversation. It really speaks to your commitment to working with diverse suppliers, especially today with a focus on MBE certified businesses. There were some questions about folks who have other certifications. Kate would be happy to connect with you on those because she is the Supplier Diversity Manager. And so that includes our resource partners and the like. Following today's program, a couple of things are going to happen. We are going to send an online evaluation survey to each of you, as well as a copy of today's slides and a link to this recorded program. We're asking each of you, encouraging each of you to complete the online evaluation form because some of the information we're requesting will be especially of great interest to our panelists and speakers today. So please fill out our evaluation form. And also for additional information about the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council, our programming, our events, our certification, please visit our website at www.emsdc.org. And on behalf of all of my colleagues today and our President and CEO, Valerie Cofield, we thank you for joining us and have a great day.